සුපිරි අධිවේගයක් පරදා ඔබ මවිත කරවන වේගයක් විඳ ගන්න. පියවර තුනකින් ශ්‍රී ලංකා ටෙලිකොම් ෆයිබර් ඔප්ටික් ජාලයට එක්වන්න. slp.lk වෙත පිවිසෙන්න.
Making headlines on First at 9. Not a chance. President Maithripala Sirisena determined to quash the proposed salary hike for parliamentarians. How it's done. The party leaders' meeting will determine the electoral system to be adopted in the upcoming provincial council elections. Word of defiance. Inspector General of Police pledges to crack down on extremism, nationalism and terrorism.
We have taken all the possible measures to ensure the national security.
Hinged on a cable. Minister Vijayadasa Rajapaksa staunchly objects the idea of setting up cable cars at the Sigiriya rock fortress.
Under no circumstances I will permit anybody to have cable car services to Sigiriya.
Crash in Siberia. 18 people including 3 crew members killed in a Russian helicopter crash. A very good evening and welcome to First at 9 on Derana 24/7 Sri Lanka's news channel. I'm Katrina Chang. Now on to our top story tonight. President Maithripala Sirisena objects to the salary hike for parliamentarians, insisting that he will not let the cabinet pass the relevant proposal. Speaking at an event held in Polonnaruwa today, the head of state also noted the salary hike will see MPs' earning exceed that of the president.
I saw a minister has said that the party leaders have arrived at a decision to increase salaries of parliamentarians. Not a single cent will be increased. I will not allow this to pass in the cabinet. During the past 3.5 years, salaries and allowances of MPs were increased. The president's salary is 95,000 rupees, but a parliamentarian rakes in 5 times the amount I receive.
Meanwhile, the new Bhikkhu hermitage at the Hinguragdamana Kashapa Pirivana was declared open by President Maithripala Sirisena yesterday. The hermitage was built at a cost of 14 million rupees under the district development program Awakening of Polonnaruwa. The president then called on its chief incumbent Venerable Mathirigiriye Vinitha Thera. The president also distributed schooling equipments to 11 members of the Buddhist clergy studying in the monastery.
The Moragahakanda Kaluganga project is worth over 230 billion rupees. China, Japan, Kuwait and Saudi Arabia, as well as the Asian Development Bank, gave all the money for it. But we are faced with the inability of finishing the targeted work on time, as we lack engineers and technicians to complete 2,400 moderate lakes and 3 large tanks. After being educated through the free education system, our engineers have left their motherland behind. More than 10,000 of our engineers are living abroad. I extend an open invitation to them to join us in completing the targeted 2,400 lakes. If they want, they can go back to their respective countries after accomplishing this target.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe says that the government aims to make the northern province to become the biggest income contributor to the country's economy. He expressed these views at an event held in Jaffna today.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe declared open the 2 dormitories and several other buildings of the Kilinochchi campus of the University of Jaffna, built at a cost of 5 billion rupees. Subject Minister Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa, Parliamentarian Vijay Kala Maheswaran and several others joined the event.
First part of the years went really in rehabilitation and reconciliation. Now only we have to look at the development. And we are starting a northern development program, and we want Jaffna because your economy has come down. Palali will become an airport of international status, where we can have flights coming in from India and from Malaysia. The Indian government is helping us. Similarly, Kankasanture will be developed and expanded as a port. We are looking at the Kankasanture cement plant to become removed, and for that to become area for light industry and for IT. And another one which will be started in Paranthan. They were also now discussing and implementing plans for developing tourism in Mena, and also on the Mena-Poonareen road on the beach side, on the Vedamarachi side, as well as having yachts going around the islands of Jaffna from the sandbar in Mena, maybe all the way down onto the east coast. We are starting a series of cold stores for cold storage throughout the country for agricultural products. There's a big road building program. One of the largest one will be the Mana Vaunia Trincomalee Road, which will create a lot of employment. We have to start gradually. There's a shortage of manpower, shortage of skilled people. But we want this economy to work and for this Jaffna economy to make its biggest contribution to the development of this country.
The visiting Commonwealth Secretary-General Patricia Scotland met with leader of the opposition R. Sambanin yesterday in Colombo. Briefing the Secretary-General, the opposition leader pointed out that a new constitution which will alter the structure of the governance and give more powers to the region. He also added that the new constitution will lead to ascertainment of truth and justice, reparation dealing with missing persons, as well as the return of civilian land occupied by the armed forces. Speaking further, the opposition leader said adopting a new constitution will be a big step in taking the country forward. The Secretary-General briefed the opposition leader on the continuous support provided by the Commonwealth to Sri Lanka in promoting democracy, rule of law, good governance and environmental related issues. The Indian newspaper The Hindu quotes top officials at the Ministry of Transport and Civil Aviation saying that nothing has changed in the decision to proceed with a joint venture with India on the Mattala International Airport. The Indian media report comes into focus in a backdrop where the Indian Minister of State for Civil Aviation, Jayant Singha, have told the Lok Sabha that there was no proposal for the Airports Authority of India to acquire controlling stake in Sri Lanka's Mattala Rajapaksa International Airport. The report on The Hindu, however, contradicts Singha's comments as it says that the Sri Lankan government is set to go ahead with the joint venture, handing India 70% stake in the airport.
The Mattala International Airport has long been an object of scorn by the present government for incurring losses. Taking it under consideration, the government decided to enter into a joint venture with India, with the neighbouring country gaining a controlling stake of the airport. However, the Indian Minister of State for Civil Aviation, Jayant Singha, last week told the Indian Lok Sabha that such a proposal is not currently under consideration. Sinha's comments were, however, contradicted by Indian newspaper The Hindu today, with it quoting a top official at the Ministry of Transport and Civil Aviation of Sri Lanka. Highlighting comments from the unnamed official, The Hindu says that 3 rounds of official negotiations are already complete on a likely joint venture between the AAI and the Airport and Aviation Services in Sri Lanka to run the loss-making Mattala Airport. The report goes on to note, quote, the State Minister's response to a question raised in Parliament, saying there was no such proposal, sent confusing signals to Colombo, where top government officials are under the impression that the deal is nearly final. The Indian government is yet to respond to the minister's remarks, unquote. However, The Hindu quotes a top official at the Ministry of Transport and Civil Aviation in Sri Lanka saying, quote, nothing has changed, and the two governments, after detailed negotiations, have agreed that India, with a 70% stake in the joint venture, will contribute $225 million to revamp and run the airport, while the Sri Lankan side will invest the balance, unquote. It highlights a draft agreement between the two countries saying that India will operate the airport on a 40-year lease, following an expert's report that will look into technical aspects of the joint venture. It also says the draft agreement will be presented for cabinet clearance. The media report also quotes Minister Nimal Siripala de Silva as having said in Parliament that he would table the agreement in the House and act with utmost transparency. It concludes saying, quote, it is an open secret that New Delhi's strategic interests in running the airport, located near the China-controlled port in Hambantota, outweighs commercial considerations, unquote. In the meantime, Minister Nimal Siripala de Silva, speaking to local media, recently said that discussions are still underway with the Sri Lankan government and the Airport Authority of India on the possible joint venture.
We're not planning to sell this. What should be done will be decided at the right time. I clearly said the Airport Authority of India is continuing to have discussions with us and that they are yet to conclude. A Sri Lankan company will be set up with the contribution of the two countries. I have requested the reports on the Indian parliamentary debate over the matter. Let's clarify what was said in the Indian Parliament.
The Inspector General of Police, Pooja Jayasundara, moved to give assurance on the national security, saying the police will see to it that there is no place for extremism, nationalism or terrorism in the country. Speaking to media following an event held in Vaunia today, the IGP said that Sinhalese, Tamil and Muslim communities are treated equally under the Sri Lankan identity.
That is sure there won't be any extremism, nationalism or terrorism. The security has been ensured by the people of this country as human beings and as Sri Lankans. Under the Sri Lankan identity, Sinhalese have a fair chance, Buddhists have a fair chance, Tamils have a fair chance, Hindus have a fair chance, Islamic have a fair chance. There is no grudge between us. There won't be any extremism, any terrorism in the future. We have taken all the possible measures to ensure the national security, as well as the prevention and solving of crimes, and stop all the corrupt practices, including the police people. We are doing our best, and the people have understood today. I am being the Inspector General. I am really happy about it. I'm really happy about it. And everybody is getting together as a team. This is the power of strength. This is the power of the people. This is the power of Sri Lanka.
General Secretary of the United People's Freedom Alliance, Minister Mahinda Amaravira, says that the UPFA's decision over the post of opposition leader will be informed to Speaker Karu Jayasuriya on Monday. Speaker Jayasuriya has written to the UPFA's General Secretary questioning its official decision, as a team of parliamentarians from the same alliance are calling for the position to be given to an MP of their choice. Accordingly, Minister Amaravira said that the alliance will soon have a meeting and will forward its decision to the Speaker. The electoral system to be adopted in the provincial council elections will be decided at the party leaders' meeting scheduled for Thursday. General Secretary of the United National Party, Minister Akleviraj Karyawassa, made the remark today following the party's membership drive worked off in the area of Bandaragama in Kalutara.
We saw a protest campaign last week organised by the Rajapakshas. The SLPP was capable of bringing masses to the capital in the recent past. But the recent protest campaign was a failure, as not many participated. The UNP lost the last local authorities election, and now we have revamped the party so we can win any future election. Provincial council elections are held soon and we have no plans to postpone it. Party leaders discussed the matter last week and there is a high probability of it being held at the end of December or the first week of January next year. When we meet again on the coming Thursday, we will decide whether it will be held under the previous electoral system or the new.
The national organizer of the Sri Lanka Podujana Perumuna, Basil Rajapaksa, is already planning ahead for a time when the party comes to power. Addressing a public conference organised against the government called Podujana Rally in Kalawana, the former minister said that the SLPP is already making plans on how to rule the country after gaining power.
The public conference organised against the government called Podujana Rally by the joint opposition was held in Kalawana today.
I would like to remind that it was Mahinda Rajapaksa who fulfilled the responsibility of restructuring everything in this country for better, except for the lives that were lost to the tsunami. They first asked not to use asbestos, stating it causes cancer. After the copra beetle was found in a container sent to Russia, now it's okay to use asbestos and it doesn't cause cancer anymore. There is a lack of medicine in pharmacies in Kalawana and Pothupitiya. There's a pharmacy in the parliamentary complex which provides medicine for parliamentarians and ministers. It doesn't have enough medicine, but the subject minister is the Suapati. When Sri Lanka becomes the second country in Asia with highest rate of malnutrition, the president awards him Suapati. The biggest challenge we have now is to decide as to how to stop more damage being caused to the country. The academics in this country have joined hands with Mahinda Rajapaksa to make plans on how to rule this country when we come to power.
Now, First at 9 has received numerous queries from the public on the incident which transpired at the Bandaranaike International Airport recently involving a Kuwaiti couple. The couple was travelling with their pet dog and they refused to adhere to the quarantine procedure, which led to an argument, resulting in the couple attacking custom officials. The incident led to their arrest and invariably separation from their beloved dog. The Office of the Police Media spokesperson, however, confirmed to First at 9 that the Kuwaiti couple has since reunited with their canine friend.
On the 27th of last month, a couple from Kuwait were arrested after a tense situation erupted at the departure gate of the Bandaranaike International Airport. An argument erupted over the quarantine procedure relating to their pet dog when the incident turned violent, leading to the hospitalization of 5 customs officers. On the 30th of last month, the couple in question was produced before the Negombo Magistrates Court, where they were later released on a surety bail of 100,000 rupees each and were once again reunited with their pet dog. They were also banned from leaving the country until the conclusion of legal proceedings. Meanwhile, at the Lanka International Airport, officers were seen wearing black bands in protest of the incident. When Derana inquired about the matter from the police media spokesperson's office, it was revealed that the Kattunayake police have requested the couple to produce a medical report on their pet dog, which is to be submitted to the Animal Quarantine Office. The Kuwaiti couple once more will have to appear before the Negombo Magistrates Court on the 8th of this month with the said report.
Let's cross over to a short commercial break.
You are watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Derana 24/7.
Welcome back to the news. Minister of Cultural Affairs Vijayadasa Rajapaksa rejects the idea of setting up cable cars at the Sigiriya rock fortress under any circumstances. The minister discarded the idea in response to questions raised by journalists pertaining to a Chinese company conducting a feasibility study on a mechanical approach for disabled persons to access Sigiriya.
A large number of tourists visit the Sigiriya rock fortress, which is a World Heritage Site as claimed by UNESCO. A number of representatives from a Chinese company have arrived in Sigiriya to conduct a feasibility study on a mechanical approach for the people with disabilities to access Sigiriya. The group has conducted a feasibility study across 3 days and has left the area last evening. Member of the Dambulla Pradeshya Sabha Priyanjana Kumara, however, expressed his objection and said such projects will harm the ancient heritage of Sigiriya.
I will be there to support Sigiriya even if it costs my post. I'm even ready to jump off the fortress to safeguard it.
Responding to questions over the matter, Minister of Cultural Affairs Vijayadasa Rajapaksa said that permission will not be granted to this project under any circumstances.
There had been a Chinese team who had come and making some arrangements to have some impact assessment in Sigiriya, enabling them to establish a cable car service to the rock of Sigiriya. I came to know through the Central Cultural Fund, there hasn't been any approval given to them, but they were aware several months ago a team of Chinese people had come and made an assessment. I have to be firm on this because the Sigiriya is a World Heritage. We have acquired that World Heritage status because we have preserved this archaeological site for over 2000 years without having any kind of distortion or modern development, do any kind of changes or permit this kind of cable car project. Definitely the status of the World Heritage will be removed. Under no circumstances I will permit anybody to have cable car services to Sigiriya.
Governor of Central Bank Dr. Indrajit Kumaraswamy is upbeat about the central bank's prospects of ending the year with $9 billion in reserves, which is equivalent to 5 months in import cover. Speaking at a media briefing yesterday, the governor also announced that the government is in talks with China to tap the panda bond market. Panda bonds are foreign issuer paper sold in the Chinese domestic interbank bond market. According to the central bank, the gross official reserve position was estimated at $8.4 billion at end July this year, compared to $8 billion recorded at the end of last year.
The recorded reserves was $8.4 billion. I mean, we went up to close to 10 after the international sovereign bond issuance, but there have been payments since then. We think we'll finish the year with about $9 billion. And that's a comfortable number. It's about 5 months of import cover. From 8.4 billion, $1 billion will come in on the syndicated loan in 2 tranches of 500 million, one in August and the other in October. And if everything goes well, there should be one more IMF tranche of 250 million. And we are working toward a panda bond issuance before the end of the year.
Speaking further on the bond, Dr. Kumaraswamy said that Sri Lanka is looking at approximately $250 million from the panda bond market.
We went on a non-deal roadshow to China, and there seems to be good interest in terms of we met some banks, we met some insurance companies and other institutional investors. And perhaps most encouraging of all was our meeting with the People's Bank of China, their central bank, where the Deputy Governor, totally unsolicited, suggested that we set up a joint task force to examine how Sri Lanka could explore the panda bond market. Maybe about 250 million.
"18 people have died in a Russian helicopter crash in northwestern Siberia. Russia's Ministry of Emergency said the Mi-8 went down about 180 kilometers from the town of Igarka in Krasnoyarsk territory. All those on board, 3 crew members and 15 passengers were killed, and a criminal investigation is underway. The helicopter was reportedly taking workers to an oil station. Initial assessments have suggested that the aircraft's plane struck cargo being carried by another helicopter just after takeoff. It fell to the ground and burst into flames while the second helicopter landed safely. A government official said authorities were investigating allegations of negligence and whether safety guidelines had been violated. Both aircraft belong to Russian national airline Utah. A report commissioned by the UN Security Council says North Korea has not stopped its nuclear and missile programs, violating UN sanctions. The report came as US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said he was optimistic that North Korean denuclearization could be achieved.
US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, who has been leading US negotiations to get North Korea to denuclearize, met with North Korean Foreign Minister Ri Yong at a Southeast Asian Security Forum in Singapore today. However, a confidential UN report has now come to light, which accuses North Korea of continuing to develop nuclear and missile programs in violation of international sanctions. The report, which was prepared by independent experts, was submitted to the UN Security Council on Friday. It states that Pyongyang has reported to a massive increase of illegal ship-to-ship transfers of oil products and has been trying to sell weapons abroad. North Korea has so far not commented on the document's findings. Last week, US officials said Pyongyang appeared to be building new ballistic missiles despite recent warming ties with US President Donald Trump's administration and pledges to denuclearize. Unnamed US officials told Washington Post that spy satellites had spotted continuing activity at a site that has produced ballistic missiles. President Trump met North Korea's Kim Jong-un in Singapore in June, and the two leaders then pledged to work towards denuclearization without specifying exactly what this would look like. Pyongyang is currently under a range of international and US sanctions over its nuclear program and missile tests.
Spain and Portugal faced another exceptionally hot day today as the heat wave that has killed 3 people in Spain threatened to raise temperatures to record levels. Iberia's heat wave caused by hot air from North Africa is the most severe since 2003, and temperatures in many parts of Spain and Portugal will remain above 40 Celsius at least until Sunday and could rise a further 2 or 3 degrees. That could push them above Europe's previous record high of 48 degrees Celsius in Athens in 1977.
Temperatures in Spain and Portugal soared to near record highs yesterday and today as part of Europe's heat wave, and government put emergency services on alert for forest fires. According to the country's weather agency IPMA, temperatures will reach 45 degrees Celsius in parts of the south-central Alentejo region. Forecasters at the UK Met Office have said temperatures in the Iberian Peninsula this weekend could beat the all-time continental European record of 48 degrees Celsius, which is a little over 118 degrees Fahrenheit, before the mercury starts to dip. The heat wave coincides with peak vacation season in Europe. Travellers have been warned to stay out of the sun during the hottest part of the day and be aware of the risks of heat stroke, particularly for children and the elderly.
11 boys and their soccer coach rescued from a flooded Thai cave in a drama that gripped global audiences left the temples today after spending 9 days as Buddhist novices in memory of a volunteer diver who died during the rescue. The 25-year-old coach, who has received monk's orders, will stay on for 3 months. One of the boys did not participate as he is a Christian. At the Wat Phara, that Toi Wow temple, the boys listened to Buddhist chanting before they disrobed themselves in a traditional ceremony attended by their relatives. The 12 boys, aged 11 to 16, and their 25-year-old coach went missing on June 23rd while exploring the cave complex and were rescued more than 2 weeks later during a perilous 3-day mission by foreign and Thai divers. The boys and their soccer coach had gone to explore the cave complex on June 23rd when they became trapped. They survived for 9 days on water dripping from rocks before divers discovered them on a muddy mound. We will join you with some sports news after this short commercial break.
You are watching Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
Captain of the Sri Lankan one-day side Angelo Matthews questions what would Sri Lanka gain by playing in dust bowls of pitches with the World Cup in touching distance. Addressing a media briefing in Colombo today ahead of tomorrow's third ODI against South Africa in Pallekele, Matthew highlighted the need for the Sri Lankan team to change its approach in order to get out of the slump the team is currently in. Ahead of tomorrow's third ODI against South Africa in Pallekele, Matthews highlighted the need for the Sri Lankan team to change its approach in order to get out of the slump the team is currently in.
On good wickets, because 10 months away from the World Cup, what are we going to gain by playing on? We have to change the way we think and our strategies because it has not been working, and we've sat as a group in the last few days. We are going to change the way we play. We want to win on playing on good wickets because 10 months away from the World Cup, what are we going to gain by playing on dusty, slow wickets against Australia? That is the biggest question. And if we want to win overseas, we have to change the way we play here. We have to play on good wickets. Yes, it might take a bit of time, but I can assure you the team will improve. Going forward, we know if we play on these, because if the guys get used to this, we can, definitely win overseas as well.
A very good evening to our viewers and welcome to Forecast First. Starting off with your temperatures for tomorrow, that will vary between 20 and 36 degrees Celsius, with the highest of 36 expected in Batticaloa. Well, when looking at the map, a low pressure zone will develop in the western province and will gradually disappear. Well, several parts of the island, including Jaffna, Mannar, Anuradhapura, Trincomalee and Batticaloa, will experience sunny weather, while the areas of Kandy, Colombo, Galle and Matara as well as Hambantota will experience the wet weather. That's all from the Weather Centre tonight. Up next is your city by city forecast.
And before we end tonight's bulletin, on a programming note, get to know everything from the world of showbiz. Our brand new program, Showbiz Tonight, will begin to air from this Sunday at 9:30 p.m. soon after First at 9. Be sure to join us for that as well. That's all we have from you from Other Derana First at 9 for tonight. But before we go, we'd like to leave you with the visuals of Mount Rainier National Park. It is a 369 square mile Washington State Reserve which surrounds glacier capped at 14,410 feet Mount Rainier. We hope you enjoy these visuals and have a pleasant evening.
Bringing you the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.